America rules, and so does real American beer. Get some, brother.
Welcome. Let me start my mic here. All right, welcome. And this is another episode of Season 4 of Cubfidential. I am your producer, Denzel Snipes. He's fresh back from Japan. You're finally going to see him. Hopefully you didn't forget about him. But we got a loaded show. This is going to take about maybe 15, 20 minutes of your time. It's all we ask. But we got spring training coming to an end and opening day right around the corner. Opening day being tomorrow. So we're going to tap into that. And then some other news as well. You know what? I'll just let this guy come on and explain what's going on here. Hopefully you didn't forget about him. He looks familiar. This is the Brooklyn Bomber himself, or now the Chicago Crusader, JB Ellis.
What's going on, Denzel? I don't know why you weren't in Japan with me. I mean, you know.
Well, you
it was official Cub business.
You could have taken all of us to Japan, you know, since you're all rich and everything, but you just had to be selfish. It's okay, though.
Official Cub business, and you stayed at home. I mean, ridiculous.
That was by your hand. It's okay. You're still the jury's out if you'll receive a Christmas card this year.
I don't know, but you know, at least I went to Japan. I don't know if the Cubs were there, but I know you guys for sure talked about that last week. I don't think they showed up. But there's more games starting tomorrow. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We got Mr. Ubbs and Jay coming in here. We're going to talk some good Cubs baseball and Cubfidential. Exciting week coming up. It's the start of Major League Baseball for 30 of 32 teams, and you know, 2 teams that already played 2 games, and maybe the Cubs will get a win because they haven't got one yet. But let's bring in the pundit himself, Jacob Christner. Let's talk about the final 2 games against the Braves. Well, there was really one game, and you know, I don't know what the other game was. That was horrible. I mean, the first game back pretty much from Japan, and the Cubs still look like they don't know where they are. They get killed 13-4, and then they win the last game, so they leave the spring with a W. What are your thoughts on the final 2 games?
Well, as far as the whole thing goes with Japan, I just think they got caught up with Yakuza and got a little too much sake. You know, it's just the way that they played. That's all the way I can think.
Yeah.
But, see, this was the thing I was bringing up. Remember how we were talking about this during the thing? It's like they were running it like crazy all the preseason. All of it. Remember how they had like 6-7 games with 10 runs. And I said I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be able to bring it with them going into the season, that they kind of hit themselves out. It looked like it.
Yeah.
Like, right at the beginning of the Japanese series, I'm just going to say that. Right at the beginning of that first game, they get a run. And then literally nothing. Almost literally until like the 8th inning of the next game or something like that.
It was pretty bad.
I know. It was just like, I mean, the pitching wasn't miserable. I mean, my favorite pitcher, you know who that is, Porter Hodge. Now that Kyle's gone. Other than a little bit, he had a pretty good shot. So I like that part, but as far as the thing with the Braves, I like to consider these the last 2 games of a preseason or a spring training almost like the regular season because they're playing everybody. You're kind of playing everybody. Okay. The lesser players or the ones that are grocery baggers and stuff like that, they're off to the single A and double A's and all that. They're done. So you start to get everybody. You get less sits. You get people throwing more innings. So you kind of get an idea what they're going to do.
So, I mean, let's start with the first game. They lost 13-4. You know, I happened to catch a little bit of it. It was a blowout. It wasn't very entertaining. You know, what'd you take away from that game?
Just, I think jet lag. You know what I mean? Okay. Jet lag by itself. Remember how long is it for you to get back to New York from Japan? Was it 16 hours?
Oh, it was 12 and a half because of the jet stream. Going is longer.
Right.
And let me tell you, I still feel jet lag. So, and we're going on almost a week now that I'm back in the States.
And that was probably, and guess what? Those are athletes. So think of how you're feeling. Imagine what they felt, and they had to go play.
Yeah. So listen, I'll give them a break from that game. I really will.
Yeah.
But you know,
But
I mean, it
as
was
far as
4-2 going into the fifth, and before it opened up anyway.
yeah,
What's your thoughts right now on the bullpen and what they did in that game and what you see going through for the year?
I really feel like during the off seasons, the Cubs are just throwing something at a board and hoping it sticks when it comes to the bullpen. I always am, and it feels like since outside of the few good years that they've had, a lot of the good years and stuff, and you notice the good years, the World Series, all that stuff, all those years, the times that they have a good time, it's always a good bullpen. Well, you notice when things go bad, like I'll give you an example: 1985 after the '84 miracle, after the 39 years deal. 85, they started until July, like in first place, and then everything went to crap really
Yeah.
fast because the bullpen all went hurt. They just picked people up. This is what happened. I'm just using it as an example. This is what happens to the Cubs when things really go bad because that's what used to happen in the 90s or 80s and 90s. Sean Dunston, Sandberg, they had all those good players. The bullpen would blow it. Bullpen's
I mean,
always been the Cubs' bad thing, and it's starting that way now.
looking at the box score, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but from what I saw and looking at the box score, it was a bullpen game. They pitched uh, a bunch of pitchers. Nobody went more than an inning.
Yeah.
10 guys pitched, and if you look at it, you know, almost everybody gave up a run.
Well, probably
There was,
final cuts. Remember, I said they've already sent people back, so probably final cuts.
yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts on bullpen games? And do you think that this is indicative of what's to come? That Council may do this during the year, or you think it was just a one-off, just to see who could do what?
Just like I was saying, I was trying to bring that part up. But just like I said, a lot of the I call them the ones with the number 96. You know what I mean? Those guys are gone. So you're on final cuts. So I believe that's a final cut type deal. You're seeing who's the best, who's the worst, who's going, who's in. And so that's why you play an inning. But that's what worries me for that. For the season and stuff like that. If you're looking for that bullpen, you're looking for the cut, and you see them and they've given up runs most of the last few games,
Right.
who do you trust?
It's true.
Who do you
who can
trust? It's like
trust?
you're just kind of hoping. You're kind of hoping. You throw it in there and you're hoping someone gets hot. And that's the thing. It does well for a while if you find something, but it's a long season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then Brown started the second game. What's your thoughts on Brown as a starting pitcher and where you see him going this year?
That's solid. By itself, it's kind of like I'll call a performance like that kind of like a 6'2", 6'4". It's called random in tennis. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like routine. They call it routine. Kind of a routine. 2 earned. You got 2 earned. You get 6 hits, everything like that. Nice. And see, the only thing I hate, especially toward the end, is that 4.1 innings pitched. I'd rather see 6 innings.
Yeah.
I'd rather see 6.
I mean, that's I think the time of year we're in. Not wasting pitches and running pitchers long. Um, so I get why he only pitched 4, but
Problem is, we're going to see it in April and May and June and stuff like that, and it's like, and then they may get to 6 by May, but that's why we keep getting hurt pitchers. They do all of that training and then they bubble wrap them and then they get hurt.
yeah, no, very true. All right, so tomorrow night, 9:10 p.m. Central, we got Cubs Diamondbacks. Justin Steele, who looked awful in Asia, in Tokyo. He I don't know. I don't know what was wrong with him against Zach Gallen. And the Cubs facing the Arizona Diamondbacks. What's your thoughts on the opening series, opening night?
Something on the road. Here's the thing I can think of. Maybe I can be wrong, okay? But they're going West Coast, but they came from Japan. So this may not hurt them as much as it normally would. Remember, number one, you're also in Arizona all the thing. You know what I'm saying? You're in Arizona anyway. So they've been there already. So it's not like oh my God, we have to get used to this part. They've been there. So now they're going to Arizona anyway. And then the second part is, even if they were in Chicago all the time long and you go to and you have that flight, they've been in Japan. So it's not it's a compared 3-4 hour flight compared to 16. So either way, I'm saying though, so it's going to be a short trip on this part, but either way, it wouldn't be as long if you've been in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think that they caught a break with having to go back to Arizona to finish spring training and then opening the season in Arizona,
Yeah.
especially after a long trip to Japan, and then they're staying out west to go to Sacramento to start next week. So I think that the schedule actually starts out pretty good for them in that respect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a lot of travel in already, but, now you're starting without having to travel too much more. So I think that's a plus.
Yeah. No, it is. And it's and you think that, but like I said, even if they were in Chicago and you had to do the travel, let's just say even if you did, and remember, they don't have to because they're in Arizona, but even if you did, they were in Japan. So they were in Japan. So they have that travel thing in comparison to other teams. So I could see a possible 2 out of 3 just because it's a shorter trip.
Okay, that's fair. Now, what's your thoughts on, opening day being at 9:10 at night?
I mean, there's an opening day. It's going to be in certain areas. It's going to be 11 a.m. It's going to be 9:10 because that's 9. Is it 9:10 Eastern time?
9:10 Central. So it'll be 7.
It's that's every West Coast deal. I mean, it's not great for television, but people will watch anyway. You know what I mean? They'll just drink extra coffee and drink some alcohol and stuff and wake up feeling really, but they'll watch.
See, I think MLB is not helping themselves in this case. I mean, granted, there's only 2 late games tomorrow. The Cubs in Arizona and Seattle and Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento's the Athletics, guys.
Yeah. You're correct.
They're going to be competing. They're going to be competing against the Sweet 16 for the NCAA tournament. A lot of eyes are going to be there. So I think if you're MLB, you want to run all these games during the day. Make this a 4:10 start, so you get more eyes on it. They have games scattered throughout the day. I don't know if I like this plan. I don't know if they're marketing it well. What's your thoughts?
No, they're not. It's really, and I'll tell you this. They're not marketing it well, and they already have an issue with strikeout or home run, and I was watching an interview, and someone was asking, why don't they have a lot of American black players? They said it's because you go into the inner cities. Go into the inner cities, and the dads, and the dads over there, and whoever's over there, the moms are over there. It's all in the basketball and football. Easier sport to get into, all that kind of stuff. Baseball's not cool there. And there's not a way it's a hard way to be able to make it. But here's the deal. Remember, what do you see in basketball and what do you see in football? And I'm just going to say this. It's fast, both of them. It's fast, it's efficient, it's speed, it's all that stuff. A lot of standing around in baseball. There's not, in comparison to what we grew up with, there's not a lot of stolen bases. A lot of people just stand there and somebody strikes out. You can get an easy base hit, 2 people strike out in a row. I mean, that's going to bore a lot of younger viewers. So that's why I keep talking about quit the strikeouts like crazy, start getting some things. If there's managers that help move these players and get everything more exciting, I think you're going to get more variety and more diversity in the sport. I really do. It's like the striking out and standing there does not help when basketball and football still exist.
So tomorrow night around 9 p.m., Arizona is going to tip off against Duke in the Sweet 16, and the Cubs are going to be playing the Diamondbacks. Now, granted, there's no Illinois team right now in the Sweet 16 playing tomorrow. I don't even think there's an Illinois team in the Sweet 16 at all. But if you are someone in Arizona, are you going to watch the Sweet 16 or your Arizona Diamondbacks? I mean, this is horrible by Major League Baseball.
Well, and
It's a
it's really
travesty.
bad. And it's really bad. And guess what? You're also facing Cooper Flag, who's going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're
He's
going to
be
lose a lot of interest.
It's kind of like when you're seeing Cooper Flag right now, it's kind of like trying to face off against a Caitlin Clark team. You know, if the Cubs do that.
So where can people find you?
Well, just to let you know, I will be in a little bit. I'll be on South Florida Tribune. I'll be on that show. And then on Friday, I wanted to surprise everybody. I got a credential to go to Truist Field for opening day for Braves.
Nice.
So, I mean,
That's
for
awesome.
the opening part of the weekend and stuff like that for theirs, and it's for pressers and all that stuff for them. So I got a credential for that. I found it in my email the other day.
Nice. That's awesome. Well,
Yep.
We'll see you next week, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes on the Sports Exchange.
Take care, buddy.
Be good. Bye-bye. All right. That was the pundit's pundit, Jacob Christner himself. Let's bring on Jason and talk about our next topic. How you doing, Jay?
Not too bad. How about you?
I'm doing good. So what do we got next, producer man? You're keeping me hanging. Watch Cobbler. First baseman Hayden McGeary, Knoxville Smokies in 2024, hit 208 with 12 homers and 63 RBIs. A go-ahead 2-run homer in the 8th versus Atlanta, the 25th. What's your thoughts on Hayden, and what do you see him doing this year?
Well, first off, on the Cubs website, he's listed as a catcher. So he's not listed as a first baseman on their website, which I thought was kind of interesting. In spring training, he hit 353. He had 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I just hope he doesn't end up like a Matt Mervis kind of deal, where he comes up into the majors and he just can't produce. And I think, honestly, I mean, he's going to be in Knoxville for, I don't know, maybe a year or two and then get promoted. And I think we're pretty good at first base right now, so there's really no rush.
Yeah, I mean, so you're thinking a couple of years down there. I mean, the 208 kind of scares me. I mean,
Yeah,
nowadays in baseball, it's not horrible because, I mean, a lot of guys don't hit anymore. It's strikeout or home run.
Yeah.
But I look at 208 and I'm like,
yeah,
I want
I
that guy in my
cringed at
lineup.
that. Yeah, not at
Yeah.
all. I was like, ooh, that's to me, that's low. Anywhere
Yeah.
like, I don't know, 240, 250, anything there and above is decent to me. Like 208 is just, it's not going to cut it in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I mean, the 12 home runs down there, I mean, that's pretty good for a minor leaguer.
Yeah.
The 63 RBIs is a nice amount. It's definitely different in the minors. They don't play as much, and it's more situational ball.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not really worried about things you'd worry about when you get to the show. But that 208, that's a scary number. I mean,
Yeah, it's ugly.
I would love to see like a scouting report to see what his flaws are. Because if you're hitting 208, there's something that's not right, and how can it be fixed? And
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the Smokies coaching staff to know what they could do to raise that average, but he definitely needs some work with the hitting coach and some work in the cage to figure it out because 208 to 240 is a huge jump.
Yeah.
But it definitely can be done.
Yeah, and who knows? It could be something mechanical, like an adjustment in his swing or something like that. So, I mean, like I said, if he can get a couple years under his belt, and then go from there, maybe his batting average goes up. I do like you said, I do like the RBIs, 63 RBIs. That's productive, 12 home runs.
Yeah.
But it's just the batting average. It's creepy. It's cringy.
Yeah, like I said, definitely some work with some of the coaches on that. I think that could be raised. Just got to figure it out, and it's a good thing he's down there because once you get to the pros, it's a lot different. There's time, but you have to kind of self coach yourself a lot of it. I mean, the hitting coach will help you, but once you're there, there's so many other things going on that you have to kind of have your game somewhat in check.
Yeah, you absolutely have to make the adjustments yourself too. Like, I mean, like I said,
Yeah,
it could be mechanical. The hitting coach could like give you a pointer or whatever, but you the player, have to make the adjustment to Major League Baseball compared to Double A or Single A ball. It's totally
yeah,
different, and the wear and
without a
tear on you
doubt.
is a lot different.
So okay, before we get to our outside of Wrigley, Cubs opening day is opening night and late night in Chicago, 9:10 start. You know, the Sweet 16's going on. If you're in Arizona, you got your Arizona Wildcats playing the Duke Blue Devils. The tip-off's supposed to be 8:39. You know it's going to be delayed a few minutes, so it's going to be coming close to the Arizona Diamondbacks opening day.
Yeah.
How is MLB so inept in scheduling opening day against the Sweet 16? And they have the curse of having, a state team where they're having opening day.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, unless you've got two big screens in your front room, and you're able to watch the dual screens or whatever. But I mean, you're gonna have to pick. And personally, if it was between the Cubs and Illinois being in the Sweet 16, I would probably go with the Illinois team. Just to cheer them on. I could always watch the Cubs, the next day or rerun or replay or whatever the case may be. You know. So
Yeah,
I
I
would
just think it's
honestly watch the
poor.
basketball game.
Yeah, I just think it's poor marketing. I mean, have
Yeah,
opening day on Wednesday. Why have it on Thursday? You could give teams days off. Scatter the games during the day. It just doesn't make sense. It's like whoever runs MLB just does not understand marketing. And to me, that's the biggest problem because there are so many stars in the game that they don't know how to get out there. And that's why interest in baseball is down. And
yeah.
it's a shame because it is such a great sport. But
You know,
speaking of down, yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, go.
I've always said too, like, when the Cubs would open the season at Wrigley and it's, you know, 30 degrees, 20 degrees, I'm like, why aren't they scheduling them somewhere
Right?
warmer or on the road or in a dome or whatever the case may be? Hey, Milwaukee's right down the road. Start your season
Yeah.
off in Milwaukee where you're playing in a dome. I don't understand that. So,
Yeah. I mean, I get it would be miserable to start off on a 10-game road trip, but I think that's a lot better than playing in 30 degrees like two or
yeah.
three straight days,
Yep.
and you can even it out later in the year. I agree
Yeah.
with you completely on that. But,
Yeah.
speaking of a wild story, Mookie Betts, he encountered a severe virus. He lost 23 pounds. He had a miserable flight to Japan. He tried to get out there because he wanted to play. He only got worse. He said the flight back was even worse than going. Is this going to affect his performance this year? Or you think he'll be able to bounce back?
Um, I mean, honestly, I think it'll affect his performance for sure. 23 pounds is a lot to lose in like, I don't know, what was it, like a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to lose in a couple of weeks. So there's something definitely got to be going on with him. And I don't know what kind of virus he caught. But that's just not healthy. And as far as like losing that kind of weight, man, you're gonna lose all your power, your strength, your stamina, everything, man. It just goes to the wayside. And to try and build that back up, it's gonna take quite a while.
I was watching his interview the other night. I think it was on ESPN. I'm not sure where I caught it, but he was talking about how horrible it was. In my head, I'm thinking, you know, teams have some of the best doctors around. And I get, when it's a virus, sometimes you just can't do anything about it. But
Yeah,
they kind of find a way for him to, stay hydrated and keep weight on. That's scary. That must have
yeah,
been some severe virus that it zapped him that much and took that much out of him.
yeah. And I just hope it's nothing like really like detrimental to his health. We don't know what's going on with him. A lot of players try and keep things private. When he says a severe virus, who knows what it could be.
Yeah.
But like I said, to lose that much weight and that little time, that just depletes your system, man. And it's going to take a while for him to get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he starts when he's, back playing every day and, how he's able to hit not just for power, but just, hit and be on the field,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he doesn't DH, he plays, the field. So that's a lot after what he went through to do
yeah,
that day after day. Yeah, I want to see if maybe they move Otani to the outfield and let him DH a little bit, maybe alternate, or how that affects the team. Because obviously, seeing them in Japan, you know, they're a superstar team. They're made
yeah,
with a
yeah, no
bunch of
doubt.
superstars. It doesn't hurt them that he missed games. They'll be okay. But
Yeah,
you hate to see Mookie Betts is a good guy, and you hate to see
yeah.
that happen to him. But I'm curious to see how the Dodgers play it with where they put him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. They're gonna have to take their time with bringing him along and getting him back to 100% health, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's gonna take, but it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, speaking of return, so let's go to our cupboard dud. Justin Steele will return to form in 2025. So we already seen him once this year. He
Yeah.
pitched in Japan and you know, granted he had to face the Dodgers and it's not easy to pitch against the Dodgers, but his ERA is up there at 11.25. Do you think he's going to return to his form in 2025?
He better, or else the Cubs are screwed. He's gonna be like, there it's him and Shota. That's the top two pitchers that you have on that rotation. So um, Jed Hoyer said something in an interview the other day where they have to play perfect ball to like get some wins. And that's to stay healthy and produce runs. That's just not the way to, I mean, it's the way to go to stay healthy, but when you're not producing runs, and you depend on that, and you don't want to spend money on some players, then you're screwed. So I say dud.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on Tucker, um, his first couple of games in a Cub uniform?
I wasn't really that impressed. And now, with the young kid in Houston, the way he's producing and coming up to the MLB roster and going to be on the roster for opening day, everybody in Cubdom is, uh, trying to regret that trade, that we traded him for Tucker. But honestly, most likely Cam Smith probably wouldn't have been on the opening day roster because there's just too much traffic at third base, so to say. So,
Yeah.
but I could see Tucker hitting, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Um, but again, I mean, just not a good start to the season. And I kind of agree with Jacob, the whole jet lag thing. Like you said, it took you. You're still trying to get back to you know normal living
I'm still
situation.
exhausted.
Yeah,
I'm
and
still
and they're-
exhausted, I'll tell you.
yeah, and they're athletes and they have to, they fly 16 hours and try and catch up to that. So I kind of give them a pass on that, but still, I mean, you got to produce. You're getting paid to produce. So
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But we will see you next week. We'll actually have some games to go over. I'm sure we're going to review the Diamondbacks and the Sacramento A's, if that's what they're going by. I don't even know. Listen, I will say one thing on WGN the other day. I think it was
uh,
yesterday. The White Sox played the A's, and there were people in the stands in spring training, and I was confused because there are many stadiums in it. The Arizona Cactus League, you can get to other stadiums pretty close. They're not spread out like Florida.
okay.
You chose to go see the White Sox and A's when you could have went to see another game. I question if you understand what baseball is or you just want to sit in the sun. I
Yeah.
don't get it. You know,
Yeah.
I just don't
I
understand.
wouldn't have
But we
gone
will
to that
see.
game.
No, not at all. It's I like, huh? But we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, if you go to the supermarket, you go to the liquor store, get a real American beer. They're delicious. I got some down in the cooler. Can't go wrong. You know, Hulk Hogan loves it. How can you go wrong? Well, we will see you guys next week. We're out of here.
See ya.
America rules, and so does real American beer. Get some, brother.